Hi guys, Mendocino Vino here. Today I got some real pain from my sham friends and some champagne from my real friends. The Wine Folly Challenge is where I try all 86 grapes and 14 wines featured in the Wine Folly Magnum Edition, first alone and then paired with food. So when deciding how to do this particular varietal, I had a couple of different options and debated about a couple different ways. The first thought I had was to compare a French champagne to a California sparkling wine to a South African Chenin Blanc sparkling wine. Thought about that for a bit, but ultimately decided that I think I should just stick with champagne from Champagne, because technically the only thing that is champagne is sparkling wine produced from the Champagne region. So that idea kind of went down the drain. Second thought I had was maybe compare a vintage champagne to a non-vintage champagne. So most champagne houses produce both vintage and non-vintage champagnes. A non-vintage champagne, as the name suggests, is one that is blended from a couple of different years before it's actually released. A vintage champagne is a champagne only from 1 year. I thought about that, but I didn't think that would give me a real good sense of champagne. Finally, I thought about maybe comparing the three main types of champagne. So Blanc de Blanc, Blanc de Noir, and Rosé. What those names mean and suggest on the bottle is Blanc de Blanc is made purely from Chardonnay grapes. In Champagne, you can only make the champagne from 3 different grape varietals: Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. Pinot Meunier. So Blanc de Blanc is made from pure Chardonnay. Blanc de Noir is made of a blend of Chardonnay, Pinot Meunier, and Pinot Noir. And then Rosé is made using the either the Saunier method or by blending a little bit of still Pinot Noir into the champagne. Finally though, I decided I wanted to try different levels of sweetness because champagne can really vary in how sweet it is.
Speaking simply, the final step for making champagne is topping the wine off with dosage. The winemaker decides how sweet they want their champagne to be by adding some sugar to the dosage. As you can see from the table, champagne can range from sans dosage to doux, with lots of types in between. The sweetest wine I have is the Veuve Clicquot Demi-Sec. This is a non-vintage sparkling wine blended largely from Pinot Noir. Veuve Clicquot is a very old and very famous champagne house. In 1805, Francois Clicquot, the founder's son, died and his 27-year-old widow took over the business, which was quite something in the early 1800s. Madame Clicquot is credited with creating the first recorded vintage champagne in the region. This half bottle cost me $37.99. The next champagne I have is Moet et Chandon Imperial Brut. This is also a non-vintage sparkling wine created from a blend of Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Pinot Meunier. Moet Chandon is another historic champagne house established in 1743. Their Imperial Brut is the house's iconic champagne bottle and was created in 1869. It costs $49.99. Finally, we have a cheap bottle, as I was unable to find a sans dosage champagne. The Val de Mer Brut non DOSÉ is actually from neighboring Chablis, not Champagne. However, its vineyards are actually closer to Champagne than to Burgundy, and it shares Champagne's unique Camerigian soil type, which isn't found anywhere else in the world except southern England. This is a non-vintage wine made from 100% Chardonnay, and it cost me $23.99.
I figured this way I could get a better understanding of the different types of styles of champagne. And hey, maybe I'll discover one that I really like, because as loyal watchers will know, I do not actually like sparkling wines. Alright, let's get started. I'm going to start with the Brut champagne, because that is kind of the most common style. Oh, there we go. It's a very golden color. Let's see what it smells like. Yellow apple. Toast. Yeah, totally getting that toasty note. That actually comes from the lees. The dead yeast cells are called lees because it is a prettier name than dead yeast cells. Also maybe because that's a French name. It kind of reminds me of a apple pie a little bit, or Nope, let me rephrase that. Not apple pie, because it's a little bit too sweet. I would say this reminds me of a toasted piece of bread with some sort of cinnamon apple slices on top that you put in the toaster oven so they get kind of caramelized. All right, let's see how it tastes. A ton of apple, lemon. It's got almost a little bit of a sweet note at the very, very end. I don't know if it's just because I'm slowing down more, but I do feel like I like this more than the last time I tried it. All right, so let's move on to the driest one and finish out with the sweet one. Look at those fine bubbles. This wine has kind of finer bubbles. This one has slightly larger ones. Bubble size can correlate to quality in terms of champagne. Very similar color, although this is a Blanc de Blanc instead of a Blanc de Noir. All right, let's see what this smells like. Ooh, I feel like I'm getting a lot of Chardonnay out of there, actually. Baked apple, pear, biscotti. That's what's in here. It's apple pear biscotti. Sounds pretty good, actually. I love an apple pear biscotti right now. All right, let's taste it. I like that, wow. Ooh. So these days, champagne producers can choose whether or not they want to age their wines in oak barrels or neutral oak barrels. I would bet my bottom dollar that this was aged in neutral oak. This is my favorite sparkling wine I've ever had. Wow. It's really the finish on it. I still don't love the bubbles, but the finish on this is just such pure Chardonnay for me. And nice, good, white Burgundy Chardonnay. All right, let's finally try this $40 half bottle. Sorry, I stopped complaining. Of the three, I'd say this is the deepest gold of the three. All right, let's see what this smells like. And you don't really need to swirl champagne too much because the bubbles are supposed to give it aromatic. So because of the bubbles popping up towards the surface, it actually releases a lot of the smells. You don't need to swirl too much. Fresh, crisp, acidic apples covered in caramel sauce. And I do get the very obvious key signatures of champagne that has been aged on the lees. That kind of toasty note on there too. All right, let's try it out. That is a very well balanced wine. Wow, it's not overly sweet really. That's the biggest thing, is that I could see how a Demi-Sec champagne could go way too far in the direction, but the acid balances it out very nicely. I think the smell matches the taste here, so it is that caramel apple, a fancy caramel apple, with maybe a little tiny sliver of toast next to it. It's got this finish of honeysuckle. Ah, lovely. All right. I can't be too mad. I will say I was not looking forward to this tasting. I anticipated a bloodbath. And by bloodbath, I mean I would hate them all. But they're all very good. Today I have some assorted local cheeses and a little bit of bread to go with it. Champagne is notorious in the wine world for pairing with everything. Fried chicken, paired with champagne. Candy sometimes, paired with champagne. I, however, was trying to find something that would pair with a sweet champagne, dry champagne, and very dry champagne. Ultimately, I decided to land on cheese because cheese and wine. This is a match made in heaven. So I have 3 different cheeses here. I wanted to get myself something that was kind of a broad spectrum of different things to try. First, I have the Fromage Blanc from Sonoma. This tastes like butter. Delicious, delicious butter. I will confess I had a little bit of it before. And yeah, it's tasty butter. Then I have the Humboldt Cypress Grove cheese that has herbes de Provence mixed in it. So a little bit more savory, some herbaceous quality. And finally, some Point Reyes blue cheese. Figured that would be a nice strong cheese that would pair pretty well with that sweet wine. All right, let's get started with wine number 1. It brings out a little bit more of the savory quality in the wine. With wine number 2, the Chablis non DOSÉ. I think it pairs well, but not extraordinary. So I would recommend this pairing, but not zealously so. With the dessert champagne. All right, that marries nicely. Ooh, yeah. Because it's like delicious honey caramel plus cream cheese and bread. Highly recommend. While I'm not a champagne convert, the wine I like most is not actually champagne. I will say that I have appreciated it more with this experience than I have previously. So while it might not be something I purchase independently again, I'm glad that I had this experience. Chin chin.